Hi, I'm Father Steve Mattson, pastor of Church of the Resurrection in Lansing, Michigan. And all of us have a story about how the Eucharist has drawn us back, and some of us literally had to be drawn back. My family and I left for about 18 years. My parents came back 14 years later, and I came 4 years after that. Then eventually, as you know, I've studied to be a priest. And it was the Eucharist that drew my mother back first, then my father, then eventually all of the brothers, myself and 3 others. What struck me as I came back was the gift of the Eucharist. When I was away, was an independent Protestant, I still believed what John said, right? Unless you eat my flesh and drink my blood, you have no life in you. And even though I didn't have my sacramental theology right, I had the doctrine right. Obviously, Jesus said what he meant. When I came back and I started studying for the priesthood, I paid attention again to, especially when I became an acolyte, just the particles of the host that were left in the ciborium, and I would purify those after Mass. And then eventually as a deacon and then a priest, I saw how many particles were dropping naturally. I mean, it's bread, and the Lord knows that, right? He said, "This is my body," and he took the humblest of foods, bread. But one of the things that I learned in my seminary studies is lex orandi, lex credendi. The law or the rule of prayer is the law or the rule of belief. When I was assigned to my first parish as pastor, St. Mary, Queen of Angels in Swartz Creek, my predecessor, Father Amos Wishmeyer of happy memory, had been using patens, and this is a paten. Some of you may have used one as a child, or you may have seen one at some parishes. And I saw, after every time I distributed communion and purified the patens, all of these little particles. And our faith says, Thomas Aquinas very clearly in the sequence, Laudazione, says, "When the priest, the host, divideth, know that in each part abideth all that the whole hast covered." So even the smallest particle is the whole. And what I've found is that when I got to resurrection, eventually we began using patens again, and it helps me remember that Jesus is present and also the people of God. It's interesting, the servers, when I tell them, if you catch a host, I'll give you $10. Now, they've never played the game that one of them drops, the other one catches. But the fact is, I want them to realize that this is really valuable. And if a host happens to drop, I will go with the purificator in holy water to wipe up the particles that may be there. We don't know. And so what I've seen is that has increased the Eucharistic faith. Families come back from vacation when a host drops and the priest doesn't do anything about it. That priest is communicating something. He doesn't want to communicate that oh, it's just, what is it? And I'm not judging them. I'm just saying, I've found that this is a way to revive our Eucharistic faith just passively. Just by the way we pray, it leads to the way that we believe. And I just want to encourage all of us to take seriously the smallest particle, to gather up all the fragments, as Jesus says, to honor him who is present in the Blessed Sacrament in the most supreme way, a gift for us and for all the world. God bless you all.